The banquet hall shimmered with chandeliers, laughter bouncing off marble walls, but my pulse pounded louder than anything. My sister, Amanda, stood at the center of attention in her flowing white gown, the perfect bride-to-be. And then, my heart froze. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us, where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us, what would you do in this situation? Be honest. Tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. She lifted her hand and proudly fastened around her neck the emerald-studded necklace I thought was safe in my drawer. Grandpa's gift. My gift. The guests gasped in awe. Stunning piece, one aunt whispered. Cameras flashed. Amanda smiled, soaking in the admiration like it was hers to keep. I felt heat burn up my throat. Just last week, I had found my jewelry box empty. When I confronted Mom, she said casually, "The necklace Grandpa gave you was never yours alone. It was meant as a wedding gift, for your sister. Don't be selfish." That sting hadn't left me. And now, watching Amanda flaunt it as if it were her birthright, I could barely breathe. Grandpa sat quietly in the front row, his cane resting against the chair, eyes glimmering with pride at the ceremony. He didn't know. He thought his gift was still safe with me. Dad leaned toward me, his voice low and sharp. "Sit down, Lauren. Don't make a scene. It's Amanda's day." Amanda twirled toward me then, her smirk slicing through the air like a blade. "Don't glare, sis. You know it looks better on me anyway." The room laughed politely. They thought it was just sisterly teasing, but my nails dug into my palms, and something inside me snapped. I stood. My chair screeched against the floor, silencing half the hall. Every eye turned to me. My chest rose and fell. Fire in my throat. "Do you really want to wear stolen jewelry on your wedding day, Amanda?" My voice cracked but held. "Because I have something you can't fake. Proof." Gasps filled the room. Amanda's smug expression faltered, her hand instinctively covering the necklace. Mom shot up from her seat, panic flashing across her face. "Lauren, sit down. You're humiliating us," she hissed, her voice like venom. But I didn't sit. I reached into my clutch, the paper trembling in my hand. Grandpa's name, his handwriting, the original receipt. And guess what? It still has my name written as the owner. I held it high, my voice slicing through the stunned silence. "Grandpa never gave this to you, Amanda. He gave it to me. And tonight, you thought you'd wear my inheritance like a trophy. Not anymore." The entire hall went dead quiet. Grandpa shifted forward in his seat, his brows furrowing as his gaze fixed on the paper in my hand. And then he spoke, his voice calm but heavy. "Bring it here, Lauren." The weight of the moment crushed the air out of the room. Amanda's face, drained of color, because this wasn't just about jewelry anymore. This was about betrayal, greed, and a family secret that was about to be dragged into the open. I could feel the heat of 100 eyes burning into me as I clutched the folded receipt, my palms damp, my chest heaving. My voice had already split the room in half. Those who pitied me and those who wanted me silent. Grandpa's cane tapped once against the marble floor. That sound alone silenced the whispers. "Lauren," he said, his tone both commanding and weary. "Bring it here." I walked down the aisle with trembling legs, every step echoing louder than the string quartet that had gone dead quiet. Amanda's eyes darted between me and Grandpa, panic flashing in her face like lightning. "Dad?" Mom whispered, gripping Grandpa's arm. "Please, don't do this here. It's Amanda's wedding day. We can discuss this later." But Grandpa brushed her off with a firm shake of his head. "Later? You all had plenty of time to tell me the truth, yet none of you did." His eyes didn't leave me. Lauren, show me. I handed him the receipt. His hands were shaky, but his eyes, sharp as steel, scanned the familiar ink, the store's letterhead, and finally, his own signature. When he looked up, the disappointment in his eyes wasn't aimed at me. It burned right through my parents. Richard, Evelyn. His voice cracked the silence like thunder. Did you take this from Lauren and give it to Amanda? Dad's jaw tightened. Mom clutched her pearls, her face pale but defiant. We didn't take it. We only redirected it. Amanda's the one starting a marriage, not Lauren. It made sense. Made sense? Grandpa's voice rose, the old man's fury shaking the air. It was not yours to give. I entrusted it to Lauren. My word still counts for something in this family. Amanda's lips trembled. She tried to laugh it off. Grandpa, come on. Don't be dramatic. It's just jewelry. Lauren's overreacting. She's always been jealous. The words sliced deeper than I expected. Jealous. That's how they painted me. Year after year, the forgotten daughter, the scapegoat. My fists clenched as the memory of every slammed door, every dismissive glance, every time I was pushed aside for Amanda, came crashing back. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice steady. Jealous? No, Amanda. I'm tired of being treated like the invisible child. Tired of being told my things, my future, my worth, belonged to you. Tonight, I'm done being quiet, the crowd murmured. Guests shifted uncomfortably. Some nodded. Others looked away, unwilling to witness the storm unraveling. Grandpa rose slowly, leaning on his cane. His presence alone commanded attention. Amanda, take it off! Her face twisted. What? No! Take it off, he repeated, his voice low but terrifyingly final. The hall froze. Dad muttered, Father, please, you're embarrassing us. But Grandpa snapped back. No, Richard. You embarrassed yourselves the moment you betrayed one daughter to glorify the other. His gaze turned to Amanda. If you truly want a marriage built on respect, start by respecting the truth. That necklace isn't yours. Amanda's hands trembled on the clasp. Tears welled in her eyes, but she shook her head, refusing. You'll ruin my wedding pictures, my moment. Everyone will think... They'll think the truth, I cut in, my voice sharp, almost shaking. That you stole from your own sister and tried to parade it as your glory. Gasps rippled through the guests. A few bridesmaids exchanged horrified looks. Amanda's fiancé, Tyler, shifted uncomfortably. Until now, he had been silent, his hand gripping his cufflink nervously. But finally, he stepped forward. Amanda, he said softly. Is it true? Her eyes darted, her face crumbling under the weight of exposure. I didn't know. Mom gave it to me. I thought it was mine. Lies, Grandpa spat, slamming his cane. You knew. You just didn't care. Tyler's face hardened. He looked at me, then back at Amanda. You told me it was a family heirloom, passed to you directly. You lied to me, too. Amanda's lips parted, but no words came. Her perfect facade cracked, the room seeing through it for the first time. Grandpa held out his palm. Now. Finally, with a choked sob, Amanda unclasped the necklace and dropped it into Grandpa's hand. The emeralds glittered under the chandelier, but they had lost all shine to me. They were no longer just stones. They were proof of betrayal, humiliation, and finally, justice. Grandpa turned to me, his expression softer now, but still heavy. He placed the necklace back into my hand. It was always yours, Lauren. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Not them. Not anyone. Tears blurred my vision as the cold metal pressed against my skin. For once, the hall wasn't looking at Amanda. They were looking at me. Mom's voice cracked, desperate now. Dad, please, don't humiliate us further. People are watching. But Grandpa's reply was sharp. Good. Let them watch. Maybe then you'll realize loyalty and honesty matter more than appearances. The string quartet hesitantly began, playing again, but the energy in the room had shifted. Amanda's wedding wasn't about love anymore. It had turned into a mirror, reflecting every lie my family built. And for the first time in years, I stood tall. But I knew this wasn't over. Because humiliation leaves scars, and Amanda, my parents, they weren't the kind to forget. The necklace felt heavy in my hand, not because of its weight, but because of the storm it had unleashed. I slipped it back into my clutch, chest still rising and falling with adrenaline. But I knew my parents too well. This wasn't over. Sure. Enough. Mom cornered me near the dessert table 15 minutes later, her manicured nails digging into my arm. Her smile was wide for the guests watching, but her words were venom. Do you realize what you've done, Lauren? You've ruined Amanda's wedding, her wedding, all because of a piece of jewelry. I yanked my arm free, my voice low but steady. It was never about the necklace, Mom. It was about you taking from me. Again, and acting like it's normal. You've been doing it my whole life. Tonight, I stopped letting you. Her eyes narrowed, a flash of hatred breaking through her fake smile. Ungrateful, after everything we've given you. I laughed bitterly. Given me? You mean every hand-me-down, every leftover, every reminder that I was second best? Before Mom could spit another word, Dad joined in. His face flushed red from wine. You're dramatic, Lauren. You embarrassed this family in front of everyone we know. Do you think Grandpa's going to shield you forever? He's old. When he's gone, it's us you'll deal with. His words sent a chill down my spine. It wasn't just anger. It was a threat. But before I could answer, Amanda appeared, her mascara streaking down her cheeks, her white gown dragging across the polished floor. Her voice shook with rage. You just couldn't stand it, could you? I was supposed to be the beautiful bride, the center of attention. But you had to steal my night. I stared at her, incredulous. Steal? You stole from me, Amanda. Grandpa gave it to me and you paraded it around like it was yours. Don't twist this. She stepped closer, her perfume mixed with the sharpness of desperation. You always had to play the victim, always. But you'll pay for this. I don't care if Grandpa sides with you. Everyone here knows you're bitter, jealous, and pathetic. Her fiancé, Tyler, appeared behind her, jaw tight, clearly torn between protecting his bride and processing the lies he'd just uncovered. He looked at me briefly before muttering to Amanda, You need to calm down. Amanda spun on him, shrieking, Don't you dare take her side! Gasps echoed around us. The guests were no longer pretending not to listen. Some were openly watching, phones half raised, as if the drama was more entertaining than the wedding itself. I took a deep breath, lowering my voice so only my family could hear, but sharp enough to cut. You know what the difference is between me and you, Amanda. I don't need to steal, manipulate, or lie to feel seen. Tonight, people saw me for who I am, not who you told them I was. Her face twisted with rage. You'll regret this. Grandpa's cane tapped against the floor, interrupting us again. He had moved closer without us noticing, his presence commanding the air. His voice was firm. Enough. Amanda, Richard, Evelyn, you've said enough. This is not Lauren's shame to carry. It's yours. Amanda's chest heaved as tears spilled down her face. Mom turned away, furious. Dad muttered under his breath, but not loud enough for Grandpa to hear. I straightened, my shoulders meeting Grandpa's eyes. Thank you for believing me. He gave a small nod, but his words were heavy. This family has hidden behind appearances for too long. Tonight, the truth broke through. But mark my words, Lauren. Truth makes enemies. Be ready. The music swelled again, but it couldn't drown out the tension. I stood taller, clutching my clutch with the necklace inside, while Amanda stormed off in tears, and my parents followed like shadows protecting their chosen daughter. The wedding carried on, toasts were given, photos were taken. But beneath the polished surface, the fracture in my family had grown too deep to ever repair. And as I watched Amanda force a smile for the cameras, I knew something dark, something vengeful, was brewing. This wasn't the end, it was only the beginning. The night dragged on like a performance where everyone knew the actors were lying. Amanda smiled through her tears for the photographs, her fiancé stiff at her side. My parents fluttered between guests, forcing laughter that rang hollow. But their eyes, sharp, venomous, kept darting toward me. I didn't leave. I stood tall, forcing myself to stay. For years I had been the shadow at family gatherings, ignored, dismissed. Tonight I refused to vanish quietly. When the reception finally dimmed into late-night chatter, I slipped onto the balcony for air. The cool wind rushed against my face, carrying away the heavy perfume and suffocating lies of the ballroom. For the first time all evening, I let myself breathe. That's when Mom appeared behind me, her heels clacking like knives against the stone floor. Dad followed, his expression tight. Amanda trailed after them, still in her gown, her eyes blazing. "You think you've won something tonight, don't you?" Mom's voice was sharp, cutting into the silence. "All you did was humiliate this family. No one will remember you as brave. They'll remember you as bitter." Dad stepped closer, his voice a low growl. "You embarrassed Amanda on the most important day of her life. Do you realize what you've cost her? Do you even care?" I turned slowly, my back against the balcony rail. My voice trembled at first, but I steadied it. "What I cost her? You cost me my dignity for years. You handed her my belongings, my chances, my future, like I was disposable. Tonight, I finally said no. If that embarrasses you, then maybe you should ask yourselves why." Amanda's hands balled into fists, her voice cracking with fury. "You ruined everything. Tyler hasn't spoken to me since dinner. He doesn't even trust me anymore, and it's your fault." I shook my head, almost pitying her. "No, Amanda. You ruined it the second you put on something that wasn't yours. Tonight didn't expose me. It exposed you." Her face twisted. She lunged forward, tears streaming, her voice breaking into a sob. "Why do you always have to destroy me? Why can't you just let me have this one thing?" I stepped back, my chest rising and falling, my voice quiet but sharp as glass. "Because it was never yours to have." The balcony door swung open again. Grandpa, his cane tapped once, his eyes cold. "Enough." He looked at Amanda first, then at my parents. "You've spent years feeding this family poison, favoritism, deceit, greed. Tonight it ends. If you think I will leave my legacy in the hands of liars, think again." Mom gasped, clutching Dad's arm. "Dad, don't say things you'll regret." But Grandpa cut her off, his voice ringing with finality. "The only regret I have is allowing this to fester for so long. Lauren may not have been the daughter you wanted, but she is the granddaughter I can trust." The words hung in the air like a verdict. Amanda collapsed onto a chair, sobbing. Mom's face hardened, but her silence betrayed the truth. She knew the fight was over. Grandpa turned to me, his tone softer now. "Don't think of this as revenge, Lauren. Think of it as balance. You didn't destroy them. They destroyed themselves." I swallowed hard, the weight of his words settling deep. For the first time, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Validation. The music from inside swelled. I straightened, lifting my chin. Then let them live with the truth. I'm done carrying their shame. I walked back inside, the lights of the ballroom glaring, the crowd still buzzing with whispers of the earlier scene. But this time, the whispers didn't sting. They followed me like proof that I was no longer invisible. The necklace remained, tucked in my clutch, But I realize now it wasn't about jewels or receipts. It was about reclaiming what was mine, my voice, my dignity, my place in the story of my own life. Amanda wept. My parents fumed. Grandpa stood like a pillar in the chaos. And me? For the first time, I wasn't afraid. The wedding had ended, but my story, my real story, had finally begun.